Good morning to all and welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Today's editorial is all about political turmoil in one of the African countries. That is, no, it is not about fuel prices. It is about the political turmoil in one of the African countries, that is Ethiopia. Today you're going to learn about 20 words, but 10 of them already you have learned, so I haven't brought the meanings. Besides these words, you're going to work on errors, misspelled words, word swap, idioms, and as usual, editorial words. Today I'm going to have changed the approach. I'm going to change. I will present the vocabulary first, then I'll go to the editorial. There are about 20 words you can learn from this editorial, and that is the reason why I have brought this editorial. Do remember when I bring a particular editorial, there's a reason behind. The main objective of every session to improve your English language proficiency. I look at the editorial from that angle, and if I think the students can enrich the vocabulary or grammar or the phrases effective English, then I decide, fine, this is a good editorial from the learning point of view. So I have brought this, the reason being there are about 20 words, one reason. Another reason, this goes with polity. Whenever there's an editorial that goes with polity, more or less the same words are repeated, especially polity in the sense of political turmoil. Let us have a look at the words, and you can see the meanings of 10 words. Meanings of 10 words I have not presented because you have learned these, you have got these words many a time. You try to guess, absolutely no problem. You can guess, keep guessing. That way, what happens, it becomes interactive. So, what is the meaning of the word rebel? Rebel means a person or a group opposing the ruling government and also going against the government. An individual, we say rebel, and a group, we say rebellious group. So that we all know, absolutely no problem. So I haven't brought the meaning. What is the second word over here? Militia. That's an important word. Militia means a military force that is raised from the civil population. Civil population, civilians, they form a military force. Then we use the word militia. And why do they do that? To supplement a regular army in an emergency. It is usually militia is formed as a supplement to the regular army with a positive intention. But sometimes what happens, it may go against the government, then it has a negative connotation. Ethnic, we have got this many a time, still I have brought. In this context, it is an important word. Generally, it goes with ethnic groups, ethnic tribes, ethnic fashion, relating to a population subgroup with a common national or cultural tradition. Ethnic also means traditional. Ethnic group, a traditional group. Ethnic fashion, traditional fashion. Combat means what? War. I want you guys to respond. When you see a particular word, I have not given the meaning. That means I assume you all know the word and you can easily make out. And if you know the meaning of that particular word, you can just respond. That consolidates your knowledge. Oust from power. Combat means war. Oust someone from power means what? Remove someone from power. Overlook. When you read something, you don't read meticulously and you may skip a few words or you may not see a few words, important words. Then we say, I overlooked ethnic wear. Very good. Overlooked some important points. Dictator, a person who rules with an iron hand or iron leg, and he tries to control, suppress people. He is not benevolent, opposite of benevolence. So, dictator, autocrat, tyrant, all are synonyms. A regime, an important word, it means a government, especially an authoritarian one. And coalition, when it comes to polity, we talk about allies. War, also, we talk about allies. Coalition, a temporary alliance for combined action, especially of political parties forming a government. Different political parties come together, then we say coalition. If they form the government, we say coalition government. Allies, At the time of the war, some countries form a particular group, and they all are known as allies of one another. Crush, a simple word, it goes with everyday English. Crush has got, you take something and you crush it. That means you try to spoil it or destroy it. Crush also means suppress. Unleash, leash usually goes with a dog. Unleash a dog means release a dog from its leash. But unleash also means cause to be released or become unrestrained. Generally, we say the youth, they have a lot of potential. They have to unleash the potential to achieve success. Elite, an important word. In every society, there's a select group that is superior in terms of ability or qualities to the rest of the group or society. The cream of pulverize, that is also a good word. Crush, pulverize. So, elite of the society, the cream of the society. Autonomy means independence, autonomous group, independent group. Devastated, destroyed, or ruined. Whenever there's a calamity, there's a disaster, we use the word devastated. People have been devastated, means destroyed or ruined. If you take COVID-19 has devastating impact. Famine, an important word. Extreme scarcity of food. Sometimes what happens, countries, they don't have food, people don't have food. Then we use the word famine. And drought goes with no rain, famine goes with scarcity of food. Trajectory you have got recently, it means a path of direction of something. Embolden. Bold means very strong, courageous. Remember that in the word itself you have embolden, bold. Give the courage or confidence to do something. Disaster, something that is negative. Calamity, also something that is negative. An event causing great and often sudden damage or distress, a disaster. Generally, we use the expression natural calamity and cease fire, stop the fight and stop using arms and ammunition. So you have got the words, important words, meanings. Now, if I talk about the editorial, should not be a problem to follow. Let us go to the editorial. How does it start? Rebels and rulers. Whenever there's a government, there's a regime. Obviously, some people oppose. That is quite natural. If they oppose using democratic means, that is not a big deal. It is quite natural, acceptable. But if they take to arms and they cause unrest, then it's a problem. So we use the word rebels and rulers. This editorial is all about the political turmoil in Ethiopia. It talks about the ruling, the regime, the government, and one particular organization, TPLF, the differences between these two. And because of this, it may result in civil war. The potential is there. How to stop this and who has to play an important role? This is all about that. What is the main idea of the editorial? The Ethiopian government and the militias must end the fighting and begin talking. This has been written based on a problem. What is the problem here? There's a fight going on between the Ethiopian government and the militias. So, based on that, there is a possibility this may result in civil war. So, we have to, civil war is not good anytime, anywhere. So, it has to be stopped. How to stop? They have to stop fighting and begin talking. Obviously, whenever there is a clash between two groups, they keep on fighting. That is not a solution. The main idea, it says, they have to stop fighting and start talking. Talks are very important. Now it provides a background information. This is a bit difficult to understand in the sense it goes with one of the African countries, and we are not quite familiar with the country or the background. So you got to listen carefully, you got to read once or twice, then you understand. But the editorial provides a background information. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's year long war on the rebels in the northern Tigre region threatens to pull the whole country into a deadly civil war between the federal troops and several ethnic militias. This talks about Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's year long war. He has been fighting, there has been a war for almost 1 year on the rebels. Obviously, any government, when there is a upsurge or insurgency, they try to wage a war. So, this war, year long war on the rebels, in a particular region, in the northern Tigre region. This particular war against the rebels in the northern Tigray region, this war threatens to pull the whole country into a deadly civil war between the federal troops and several ethnic militias. Because of this year-long war, there's a possibility it threatens to pull the whole country into a deadly civil war between the federal troops, that means the government troops, and several ethnic militias. Already have got all the meanings of the word, so there's no point in repeating ethnic militias. Now, when the war began, this talks about year-long war. When the war began, Mr. Abiy, a Nobel Peace Laureate, wanted to oust the Tigray People's Liberation Front, an ethnic paramilitary group turned political party in Tigray, and install a friendly regional government. This again provides a background information. What is the background information? The entire editorial focuses on two things. One is the government, the present regime. The other one, TPLF. And it provides information regarding TPLF was in power, when it was, how it came to power, what it did when it was in power, why it was ousted, and how Mr. Ahmed could become the prime minister. It provides all that background information. Now they are back in action and they're trying to, some disturbance is there, how to stop that. When the war began, Mr. Abiy, a Nobel Peace Laureate, wanted to oust the Tigray People's Liberation Front, an ethnic paramilitary group turned political party in Tigray, and install a friendly government, a friendly regional government. Whether he was successful or not, now the editorial talks about that. Within a month, he met his objectives and declared that major combat operations were over. He started the war against the TPLF, and within a month, he met his objectives. That means he was successful and declared, based on his success, he declared that major combat, not completely, major combat operations were over. That means the problem was sorted out. But whenever you see the word but, any conjunction that expresses contrasting information, it means what? First, it talks about something positive, immediately something negative. That is contrasting information. So within a month, he met his objectives and declared that major combat operations were over. But retaining control over a rebellious region was harder than ousting the rebels. There are two things over here. When there is a particular government in power and there are some people who try to oppose, it is easy to crush the revolution or the rebellious group. But how long they can control that region without problems, that is $1 million question. That is the second dimension. So here the editorial talks about, but retaining control over a rebellious region was harder than ousting the rebels. Ousting the rebels, not that difficult, but retaining control, retain to hold back, control over rebellious region was harder than ousting the rebels. And one more dimension the editorial talks about. Moreover, Mr. Abiy seemed to have overlooked Tigre's complex history. There are two things over here. One is he waged a war, a year-long war, and within a month he met his objectives. He declared the combat operations were over. But hosting rebels, not a big deal. But retaining control over rebellious region, a problem, not that easy. One dimension. The editorial talks about another dimension. What is it? Moreover, Mr. Abiy seemed to have overlooked Tigre's complex history. That region, Tigre, it has a complex history. Editorial opines Mr. Abiy seemed to have overlooked. And because of this, what is the impact? What are the consequences? The mountainous region that shares a long border with Eritrea was the base of resistance against the military dictatorship in the 70s and 80s. Now it provides the background information. What happened before TPLF came to power, the military rule, then the emergence of TPLF, and what they did when they were in power, why they were ousted. It provides that information. The history of that region. The mountainous region that shares a long border with Eritrea was the base of resistance against the military dictatorship in the 70s and 80s. So it goes back to 70s and 80s, military dictatorship. in the 70s and 80s. Whenever there is a dictatorship, there's a there's a dictator, autocrat, tyrant. Obviously, people try to oppose, and eventually the dictator is ousted from power. This is what the history says. Then, because of this dictatorship, the TPLF came into existence. The TPLF, which fought the Derg, the military regime, for 16 years before ruling Ethiopia through a multi party coalition for 3 decades, was not an easy pushover. So, Mr. Abiy tried to push over TPLF, but the editorial says it talks about the background of TPLF, how it came to power, and pushing TPLF was not an easy pushover. And this TPLF, which fought the Derg, the military regime or dictatorship, for 16 years before ruling Ethiopia through a multi party coalition for 3 decades. It says that TPLF ruled Ethiopia for 3 decades, 30 years, after replacing the military regime, Derg, and pushing this TPLF was not an easy pushover. Then what happened when TPLF was pushed over? It retreated to the mountains, regrouped, and hit back, forcing the federal troops and their allies, including paramilitaries from Eritrea, to withdraw. Something happened now. Because they were pushed over, they retreated to mountains, that mountainous region, regrouped, and hit back, forcing the federal troops and their allies, including paramilitaries from Eritrea, to withdraw. Now, because of that, now after taking Tigre and key towns in neighboring regions, the TPLF, joined by other militias, has threatened to take Addis Ababa, the capital city that is home to 5 million people, within weeks. This is the actual problem. Initially, they took over certain towns and neighboring regions in that mountainous Tigre region. Now it has been other militias have joined. Today, now, the present scenario, after taking Tigray and key towns in neighboring regions, the TPLF, joined by other militias, has threatened to take Addis Ababa, that is the capital city that is home to 5 million people, within weeks. Now, again, the editorial provides a background information. In his attempt to shake up Ethiopia's power structures and crush the former ruling elites, Mr. Abiy has unleashed a series of events that is no longer in a position to control. When Mr. Abiy became the prime minister, he wanted to crush the former ruling elites. And to do that, he unleashed a series of events. And now he's not in a position to control the situation. This sentence talks about that. In his attempt to shake up Ethiopia's power structures and crush the former ruling elites, Mr. Abiy has unleashed a series of events, unleash to release, that he is no longer in a position to control. When the country moved to a paramilitary system from military dictatorship in the early 90s, it adopted a model called ethnic federalism, in which the regions, largely divided on ethnic lines, enjoyed some autonomy, while the federal government, controlled by the TPLF, focused on national unity, economic growth, and defense. This talks about the regime when the military dictatorship was ousted and TPLF came to power. What exactly happened? Now, editorial talks about that. When the country moved to a paramilitary system from military dictatorship in the early 90s, it adopted a model called ethnic federalism, in which the regions, usually African countries, are divided on the basis of ethnic tribal groups, in which the regions, largely divided on ethnic lines, enjoyed some autonomy, while the federal government, controlled by the TPLF, focused on national unity, economic growth, and defense. This model worked, at least for a decade, as Ethiopia, Africa's second most populous country, that was devastated by a famine in 1983-85, emerged as East Africa's strongest economic powerhouse. So TPLF was successful to some extent for a decade. The model worked as Ethiopia. What is a proof that it worked? Africa's second most populous country that was devastated by a famine in 1983-85 emerged as East Africa's strongest economic powerhouse. That was like a sort of achievement. But ethnic tensions started resurfacing late last decade. Something bad happened. What happened? Ethnic tensions started resurfacing late last decade, and Mr. Abiy, an ethnic Oromo, that is a particular ethnic group he represents, was chosen to put the country back on the trajectory of growth and stability. So he was chosen to put the country back on the trajectory, the path of growth and stability. But what he did, he tried to sideline the TPLF. But his moves to sideline the TPLF triggered a bigger political crisis, which eventually led to the war in Tigre. So that was the reason. Mr. Abiy is now on the defensive. The move to take control of Tigray has failed. If he stops the military operations now, it would be seen as weakness, and the rebels, emboldened by the recent victories and political support they gained from opposition groups, could march southwards. Then what happens? Now, at this stage, he cannot withdraw the military operations. If he does it, it is seen as weakness, and the rebels already have got, they became courageous, emboldened by the recent victories and political support they gained from opposition groups could march southwards. Then what happens? An all out civil war would be disastrous as it could open old ethnic wounds. So this may result in civil war, all out civil war, and it could open possibility old ethnic wounds. To avoid such a calamity, to avoid such a disaster, there has to be a mutually agreed upon ceasefire. But there should be a ceasefire, but neither side has shown any interest in talks. The government is not interested, TPLF is not interested. Now, how does the editorial end? It talks about the someone has to play a key role or a vital role. The international community, particularly the African Union, should press both the rulers and the rebels to immediately end the fighting and start talking. So it is all about the same thing. No, I'm going very slowly. I'm not at all fast. You feel that way because today I'm not telling the meanings of the words. I have already done that. Who is this Gurunath? That talks about the situation towards the south, means towards the capital, Addis Ababa, towards march southwards. That's what it means, Preetham. See, today, as I said, usually what happens, all of you, please listen to me. Usually, I start with the editorial. You see some words in red, and whenever I read a particular sentence, I tell the meaning of the word that is in red, and I explain. I go for analysis. But today, I have changed the approach. At the outset, I give the meanings of all the important words. Then I started focusing on the editorial analysis. I did not talk about the meanings of words. And based on that, you may feel I have gone fast. In fact, I have spent 24 minutes. Usually it is 20 minutes. Today it is 24 minutes. Not at all fast. I hope you got it. Now, what are the questions you can think of? You can give the feedback whether this approach is better or the regular approach is better. What is the difference? A regular I have been doing for the last 6 months. Read the editorial, important words, tell the meanings, continue with analysis. A regular approach. But today I have presented the words first, the words and the meanings. Then I went on with the analysis without touching the words and the meanings of the words. Whichever you like, you could talk about that. Absolutely no problem. What is this editorial about? Not easy to write. You have to read once, twice, only then you can write. What threatens to pull the whole country into a deadly civil war? This editorial is all about the possibility of a deadly civil war. So, what threatens to pull the whole country into a deadly civil war? Again, easy to answer. What did Mr. Abiy seem to have overlooked? Mr. Abiy overlooked two things. So, what did Mr. Abiy seem to have overlooked? What was not an easy pushover? Something was not an easy pushover. Again, easy to answer. What triggered a bigger political crisis? Something triggered a bigger political crisis. What is that? What triggered a bigger political crisis? Someone says regular approach is better. Exactly. That's what I also felt. Today, there's some sort of disconnection. 20 plus is good, Prasad. Obviously, PO level is higher standards you cannot compare. If you ask my opinion, I also feel regular approach is better. What is the reason? If I keep on talking, there is some sort of disconnection. Whereas I read, then I tell you guys, this is a word, it's an important word, this is a meaning. Then you get connected, you listen attentively, and as Preetham says, you understand the context also. I think we should stick to the regular approach. I feel I do agree. Now let us go to practice questions based on exam topics. Definitely, yes, yes. I just wanted to try. Regular approach is better. I do agree. Please have a look at these questions and try to answer. PO level English 16 out of 30 is good, Prasad, but 20 plus is better because usually what happens, any competitive exam, if you take any competitive exam, you have three things: quant, reasoning, English. Many candidates are good at quant. For many candidates, reasoning is easy, and the bottleneck is English. In a competitive exam, you got to be better than others. That means what? You should have the competitive edge. That means you have to be very good at English. English is a deciding factor. And regularly, let's say a lot of candidates get 15, 16 out of 30. You are one among many. Whereas you get 20 plus, 22 plus. Definitely you have the competitive edge. That will fetch the job. So do remember, for that you got to. And one more thing, if you take junior assistant, the standards are different. SBI PO is the highest when it comes to bank exams. You have to raise your standards to SBI PO. Obviously, then what happens? Any other competitive exam becomes easy for you. This is what I've been telling students. First, you decide which is the toughest when it comes to bank exams. SBI PO. Raise your standards, assess your standards. There's a gap. Raise your standards. Then you can easily crack any other competitive exam. It becomes a cakewalk. It is said that Prometheus gave the power over fire to man after creating him from water and earth because he had become fond of men than the king of gods, Zeus. So, where is the error? Sure, sure, I will do that. Don't worry. We'll go back to the regular approach. Here, there is an error in the fourth part. D, there is an, here, no, no, it is like this. There's an error in the third part. Don't consider this. I think they have started. Give me a second. There is a problem here from water and earth because he had become fond of men than the king. Answer my question. When do we use the word than? When it comes to comparative form. Comparative form, we use than. And you have a word here, fond. Fond is a positive form, not correct. We have to use a comparative form. What is it? Fonder. Fondest is a superlative. Here we have to say, from water and earth, a man to fire to man after creating him from water and earth, because he had become fonder of men than the king of gods. Fonder, not fond. Fonder is correct. Question is about comparative adjective. Fond, fonder, fondest. So not easy because the context is not a familiar context. Please go to the second question. In Beijing recently, smog had become so thick that virtual sunrise was arranged on huge TV screens across the city. So, where is the error? Question number two. Comparative form, that is right. Fond means to like someone, Raviteja. Fond of someone, fond of something means to like someone or to like something a lot. Yes, Raviteja, that is a meaning. I'm fond of someone, I'm fond of something. Means what? I like something, I like someone. Fond, fond, to like. Now, no one has answered question number 2C. See what is wrong. Was arranged on huge TV screens. Nothing wrong with that. No problem. Preetham says no error. That is the answer. Very good. Sentence is grammatically, contextually correct. After that, I see Chandu says, Divya says, very good. I appreciate. In Beijing recently, something happened. What happened? Smog had become so thick that virtual sunrise was arranged. Why had, why not has? Because the whole context goes into past. Was arranged on TV screens across the city. Had become so thick that virtual sunrise was arranged on huge TV screens across the city. Also, first action, second action, based on that here, no error, not easy, under pressure. No pressure, perhaps you can get it right, but under pressure, not easy. Go to question number 3. Very good. If you can make out there is no error, excellent, perfect, highly appreciable, not easy. Please go to question number 3. Smog means smoke plus fog. That's right, Madhav. What is the meaning of the word smog? Smoke plus fog. Then you should also think what is the difference between fog and mist. Lowland areas, we use the word fog. Mountain region, we use the word mist. Very good. Vijayan has got it right. First one. You don't have to go beyond that. Here, no, here A has the error. What is it? United States of America. Before that, we have to use a definite article, the. The USA, the United States of America, has not blacklisted India as a priority foreign country in its report on the intellectual property regime. See the word regime, government, of trading partner, despite contrasting proposition, strong demands from its pharmaceutical companies. The USA. The US, the UK easy, but the Netherlands, the Philippines, the Irish Republic, the Ukraine, the UAE, these you have to remember. The United Nations, the International Court of Justice, these are important from the exam point of view. Many a time they have given the Netherlands, the Irish Republic. Now they may give the Ukraine, a new country. Please go to question number 4. Whenever you come across a particular question which tries to test a particular rule, try to remember, recollect all the related information. Question number 3 is all about articles, where to usually before countries we don't use any article, but English has rules, English has exceptions. So, what are the countries before which we can use the definite article the? After the question, getting the answer, you have to recollect all the examples. That helps in consolidation. Simply question answer, it is of no use, a sheer waste of time. So, what is the answer for question number 4? This you have to answer as uh, favoring. In a way, you're right, but one more expression is there. That is not, you guys could spot here, there is an error. Favorable to is not correct. In favor of, what do you say? In favor of. This is favoring also, you could say, but better expression. Demand draft, usually we say in favor of principal controller Mumbai, in favor of, not to, no, no, in favor of. Demand draft in favor of, a standard phrase. Favoring also can be used. Better expression is in favor of, drawn in favor of. Please go to question number 5. Question number 4, you have to answer. Yes, that is right. Obviously. No problem. You could spot the error. Fortunately, in the exam, they don't ask you to write the correct expression. The country is the biggest. You cannot, this is redundancy. The country is the biggest, then it is correct. The country's biggest forged wheel factory will be set up in Rai Bareli, the parliamentary constituency of Congress president in UP. So, easy one. Now, listen to me. Here you have four words A, B, C, D. They may be in the correct position, may not be in the correct position. If two words are not in the correct position, they have to be exchanged, they have to be swapped. You have to identify which two words should be swapped. Out of five, you should get four. Four is good out of five. It's always better if you mention your score. Four is good. You have to mention your score. Then I understand your standards. Accordingly, I can bring the questions. Three, four, good enough. In recent months, please listen to the instructions. You see four words here. They may be correctly placed, may not be correctly placed. And two words, perhaps you have to exchange or swap. Which two words? If you think you don't have to touch the sentence, you mention the same. In recent months, the world economy has come to resemble a badly microwaved dinner, generally hot, but with some bits merely scorching and others positively lukewarm. Yashashvi, very good. I appreciate that. And Kokila Devi also wonderful. No problem, nothing to worry. It will take some time. Here, it talks about in recent months, the world economy has come to resemble, nothing wrong here, a badly microwaved dinner. Badly, that is a clue for you. Generally hot. Microwave, why do you use that? To make the food hot. Generally hot, but contrasting information with some bits merely scorching. Scorching means hot, heat, scorching heat, hot. So here, some bits merely and others positively. A lukewarm means not very hot. Positively lukewarm is wrong combination. Based on that, you have to change C, D. Bits, some bits merely lukewarm and others positively scorching. Then it is correct. D should go to C position, C should go to D position. Very good, you guys got it right. I thought it would be difficult. After months of energy sources in Europe, this is again not that difficult, should not be a problem. You have to understand the context, then it becomes easy for you. Second one, AC. Preetham says that, others also. After months of energy sources, no, after months of energy shortages in Europe, caused in part by unusually still weather, becoming wind turbines, the question of how to power the world from renewable sources is high on the public agenda. Nothing wrong with this. Becoming, that's an important word. Wind turbines. So here we have to change A, C. Energy shortages and renewable sources of energy. Wind energy comes under renewable sources or non conventional sources of energy. Wind energy, solar energy, tidal energy, they all come under renewable sources of energy. We also use the expression non conventional sources of energy. Please go to question number 3. What is this PJ question? What does it mean, PJ? Smart practice, PJ question also, what does it mean? Para jumble question also. Here, this week, Jair Bolsonaro, the Nazi president, a bit difficult to make out, decided to eat beleaguered. Beleaguered means troubled. If you know the meaning of this word, then whether you know the meaning of this word or not, it doesn't matter. So Nachi, you may not know, but beleaguered president, beleaguered politician. There's a typical combination. So this is a clue. This is a key. Based on that, and distant relatives, nothing wrong. Blood relatives, distant relatives. Climate conference, nothing wrong. Here we have to change A, B. Beleaguered president, beleaguered politician means troubled, and that is Italian dish. We are not aware of that. The Romans perfected, and still stands in the form of the magnificent roof of the Pantheon, the world's largest unreinforced concrete dome. What is the answer for the fourth one? Yes, yes, there is Raviteja. Today it is more than 20 seconds, I suppose. Beleaguered politician, beleaguered economy. Generally, it goes with politicians, political leaders. Today, the net, I think, more than 20 seconds time lag. That's what I feel. No change. No, no, you have to change. Here, the Romans perfected concrete, and their legacy still stands in the form of the magnificent roof. Here, of the Pantheon, nothing wrong. Unreinforced, nothing wrong. Here it should be A, B. A, B should be changed. The Romans perfected not legacy, perfected concrete. And the context talks about concrete, concrete dome. And their legacy still stands. Their legacy still holds good. Answer is A, B. A, B is the answer. Paper mills had the word. Now you, a new set, listen to me. You can see the number. Here there are four words in red, either misspelt or inappropriate. So you have to find out. And if you think all the words are correct, spelling wise, context wise, and no improvement, no need to touch. Read the sentence very carefully. No change. Very good. I want others also to respond. It is not five. Question number one. New set of questions based on misspelt or inappropriate words. There is nothing wrong. Pagination is the right word. That's why I have brought this sentence. This is from the Economist magazine. All the four words are correct. Worst, pagination, wholly digital. Nothing wrong. We all know the word page, the regular word. We don't come across the word pagination, but generally, if you take the Economist magazine, they use certain words, they go with the native speakers, not familiar to us. So here, nothing wrong. All the four words are correct. Please go to question number two. No change. That is right. That's why I have brought the sentence Preetham. A lot of students may think pagination not the right word, but nothing wrong with that. It is related to the number of pages. Understand from the context, reducing pagination means reducing the number of pages that go with the newspaper. Context goes with the newspaper. Please go to question number two. Both countries jealously guard the rules that say only ham made in Parma can be called. Nothing wrong with, yes, Sai Arvind has got it. Sequence of numbers assigned to pages. Yes, very good. I appreciate that. Here, there is an error. See, nothing wrong with jealously, nothing wrong with this, nothing wrong with this. It is Fizzzy, fizzy. Fizzzy, that is the correct spelling. A lot of bubbles. Then we say fizzy drink. It is not Fitzy, it is Fizzzy. Full of bubbles, soft drinks usually. We use the word fizzy. Please go to question number 3. Ah, yes, of course. That's a popular brand right now. Fizzy drinks, Coke, Pepsi, all these drinks come under fizzy drinks, full of bubbles, air bubbles. We use the word fizzy, Fizzzy. That's right. Please go to question number 3. Taking in its various stages: production, cement, account. So, which word is, oh, within no time? This is not correct. It should be anthropogenic. Anthropogenic is a correct word. Induced by human beings. Anthropogenic. A result of human activities. We use the word anthropogenic. Means CO2 emissions caused by humans. Anthropogenic. That's an important word you have to remember. Please go to the 4th one. The hope that emerging markets which burp out much of the world's greenhouse gases would announce ambitious proposals is being dashed. Human mediated activities, human caused activities, that's right. Please go to question number 4. Tell me where is, yes, here, burp out. What is the spelling of burp? Burp, burp. There's another word, we also use the word belch. Burp or belch produce sound from your stomach after having a heavy dinner. We use the word belch or burp. BURP, not BERP. Burp out. Very good. And you have 5 idioms here. Just have a look at these 5 idioms and try to match the meanings. To fight tooth and nail usually takes a verb fight. To fight tooth and nail, to die in harness, to do something in cold blood, something is a thorn in the flesh, to play ducks and drakes. Try to get all the 5 correct idioms. One E, tooth and nail, with all one's power. That's right. Die in harness means what? No, one is E, with all one's power, with all one's might. Two C, die while in service. This is an important one. He died in harness means he died when he was in uh, service. So C is the answer. Exactly. You're right, Madhav. And in cold blood, do something in cold blood means what? Deliberately without emotion. Cold blooded murder, generally we say. A thorn in the flesh, a constant source of annoyance. To play ducks and drakes, to act foolishly or inconsistently. Answer is A. Exactly. That's right. That's all for today. I haven't brought the regular slide. Tomorrow I'll be bringing words and meanings. I wanted to try something new, but I ran out of time, so I could not bring. But I'll be bringing tomorrow. We'll stick to the regular pattern. I will not change. So that's it from today's editorial. Thanks for being with me till 7:51. Have a nice day. I will see you guys tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock sharp. And do remember to subscribe and share and join the Telegram group. After the session, I'll provide the PDF